To reiterate, step one is design, and that's finishing your plan, which includes the drawings, it includes choosing your fabric, and it includes choosing your labels. So once that is finished, we move on to step two, which is prototyping. And this is the fun part. This is where you actually get to start to see some samples. So the first thing that happens during prototyping is we take your drawing and the fabrics that you've chosen, and we send that into our pattern making department, and they create a pattern for your garment. A pattern to us it's the 2D shape that we cut out of the fabric that will be sewn together. It's essentially, it is engineering. It's pattern engineering, and it's impossible to get a prototype made without having a pattern made first, because that is what will be cut out, that gets sewn together. Then we cut and sew your sample. And we do all of that right here in Minnesota in-house. We have a sampling department who's, very well versed at sewing things in a production-friendly manner and making sure that everything looks professional. One thing that you might be surprised to know is during step two, prototyping, you have to expect 2 to 3 rounds of prototyping before something's perfected. So, let's go back to that cycling bib example on the previous slide. When we go to make that prototype, we're going to make a prototype. The client is going to get the prototype. They're going to wear test it, fit test it, and undoubtedly there's going to be some tweaks. I've been in the apparel industry for over 15 years, and I have yet to see the first, well, maybe once, but to see the first prototype be absolutely perfect with no changes. So just remember to expect 2 to 3 prototypes before you're actually finished with step two. One thing to note is, we do everything in a production-friendly manner. We make sure when we're making that prototype that it is going to be manufacturable, and we're making sure that we're putting it together in a way that can be where we can control the quality. It's very different than going to a tailor or a seamstress and having them make you a sample, because they're not trained and they're not keeping in mind, is this going to be production friendly? Are these methods we can use to manufacture it? So sometimes we do get people coming to us with a sample that's made by a tailor, which is fine, but we kind of have to go through step two again to re-engineer how the garment's going to be put together so it's ready for manufacturing, because that is our goal during step two. Another thing that's happening during step two, so we're making everything in one size. And so let's say a size medium, for instance. And once that size medium is absolutely perfect, fits great, functions great, looks great, everything's great, then we go and grade the pattern into all the different sizes. So that sort of happens towards the end of step two. And we do that based off of your brand's body measurements, which we can help you determine what those are, and kind of walk through how to come up with your brand body measurements. But if you've ever noticed, no two brands fit alike, unfortunately. So we have to determine how you want your brand to fit, and we're going to grade the patterns or create the patterns in all the sizes according to the demographic of your brand. That concludes step two, prototyping. So at the end of that, you're going to have one of every size in your garments that fit perfect and are constructed absolutely perfect. And that's when you know when you're done with step two.